really there are three limiting factors that a lot of us face as women. And these are factors. The thing is that we can make changes depending on how we what our attitude is towards those things, and also having the knowledge about these things. So first one is your brain. And some of you, if you are familiar with, if you've been listening to the Sasika podcast, or you've joined other programs or workshops, maybe you've heard me talk a little bit about some of these things. But your brain, right? So your brain is made of three main areas. They are not this color. It's just to make it easier for you to understand. So the part that's in purple that you can see at the top is the neocortex. And this is about 2 or 3 million years old. It's actually the newest part of the brain. And this is really what distinguishes us human beings from animals. This is where this is our thinking part of the brain. So this is where we can logically think, we can creatively think. The part that you see in the middle in gold is the mammalian brain, and this is about 150 million years old, and this is where our emotions are. And the reptilian brain is the part in red, so this is about 500 million years old. It's pretty old. It's been around for a long time, and for a very good reason. It's there for our survival. So this is the part that I really want you to pay attention to. Interestingly, the neocortex is the only one that we can consciously control. The mammalian brain and the reptilian brain are basically automatic. So they are very powerful, and it's important that we understand how they work. So with the reptilian brain, the focus is on survival. So that means that negative thinking is really normal. So I hear this from a lot of women. They think, oh, I'm just so negative in my thinking. I'm always thinking of the problem or the downside or what didn't work. That's normal, because your brain is wanting to protect you from potential danger. So if you think of primitive times, so what would the brain focus more on? Would it focus more on a beautiful sunset, or a wild animal coming to attack you? Right? It's going to focus on the wild animal. Or even if it's not seeing the wild animal, and this is what's important, if there is a little bit of movement in the grass, right, then the brain's going to start saying, oh, that could be danger. I'm going to focus on that. Sunset looks lovely, but I'm going to focus on this potential danger, right? So that is why it's very normal for us to focus on the negative. And the second part is people pleasing, right? This is so common. It's not exclusive to women. It's extremely common in women. And this also comes back from being, in primitive times, we were part of the group or a tribe to survive, because as human beings, it was very difficult to survive just ourselves. If you actually compare us with other animals, we didn't have the sharp claws and the big teeth and those things to fight with. But in a group, we could fight. So it's very important to be part of that group, so that we're not cast out and unable to find food for ourselves, or becoming food for a passing beast. So it's still with us today, is the importance of being a part of the group. If you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he talks about, you have your physiological needs, just needing water and food and those kind of things, and then and safety, and then the next one is the sense of belonging. So it is being a part of a group, which means people pleasing comes up a lot. So limiting factor number 2 is your hormones. Did you know this, that traditional productivity is 24 hours? So if you think about it, you go to work, you're expected really to do the same sort of productivity every day, right? Does that make sense? Let's get a little a yes or a no from you in the chat, those of you who are joining live. Does that make sense to you, that usually you're expected to do about the same amount of productivity on a day-to-day basis, roughly? Okay. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So interestingly, that's based on the male hormonal cycle. It's 24 hours. So we often hear about women's hormonal cycle, but we don't hear so much about men's. This is actually what it is. I'm not going to go into the details of what it is. That's a separate workshop. Women's hormonal cycle, you'll know this, is based on around 28 days, roughly speaking. So that means that we can be, at one time, we can be like, yay, really genki and full of energy. And yes, I can do this. And at other times, like, no, leave me alone. No, I just don't have the energy. I don't want to talk to anybody. And a question that I often get from women, because I work with, women who are more senior in their careers as well, and maybe they're not having periods, like they're in perimenopause or menopause. Also women who are pregnant or for other reasons not menstruating. So it's not just about whether you're having a period, it's about understanding your body. So if you think about how productive you are when you're not feeling your best, right? Emotionally, you're not feeling great, or physically, you're not feeling great, mentally not feeling great. And what a lot of us do as women is we just push through that. But then what happens at the end? We feel even worse, right? And probably not able to do the best work. And a couple of years ago, not more than a couple of years ago, some years ago, just coincidentally, these two books came to me around the same time, The Optimized Woman and Do Less. And they both had this very similar, the same concept, basically, about depending on the phase of our cycle or what's happening with our hormones, we are suited to do some tasks more than others. And this really became something that I started to experiment with and became foundational in my coaching. The third factor is time. So to have more time, you have to give something up, but it's really difficult to give things up when your brain is telling you that you need to do something, right? So often, like, yes, have you noticed when you hear about something like it's a really good habit, or like if you've heard about, just going to the gym, for example. Yes, I'll go to the gym. That takes time, though. So what are you going to take out of your current schedule so that you can actually have the time to go to the gym? Or anything else, like, journaling, or a hobby, or whatever it is, or studying for something. You don't just like expand the time miraculously. It's about giving something up as well, which creates a limiting factor. So Women's Success Essentials, or WISE, is unique because it's founded on this counterintuitive combination of developing high impact professional skills. You've heard a little bit about my professional career. I have a lot of expertise. I can say that, actually, feeling comfortable about saying it. I used to be quite hesitant to talk about my strengths. But I recognize that, like, I have some significant professional skills. I've studied a lot because I coach a lot as well. And also prioritizing your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So if you look at a lot of programs that are out there to support women these days, there are ones that are focusing on those high impact professional skills, or maybe professional skills. And there may be programs and things that you can do related to your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. As far as I know, there's no program that's really out there that's combining both in this really unique way.